One of them that I had. The other one's still in college, isn't she?
That's Ashley.
Yeah,
She's graduated.
yeah. So the
And-
older ones.
She's been working at Erlanger for 4 years.
Well, I thought I said
She's making
Okay.
130,000.
Yeah, we can pick it up on both.
I tried rolling it.
Called the workshop to order tonight. So the main focus tonight is going to be the departmental look back, look aheads to talk about some of the projects that are ongoing or were accomplished this budget cycle and what we're looking at for the next budget cycle. And we will start down on the end with Jason and just work our way around.
Oh yeah, good afternoon. For everyone who hasn't met me, my name is Jason. I'm currently staff planner for the city. So just to start off with some basic items. So for the current fiscal year, 22 to 23, our budget's $436,000. So we only have one staff member, which is myself. Go to the next slide. So just for some highlights, last year the planning department was actually vacant. There was for a couple months, there was 2 or 3 months without a staff planner. So the city actually hired myself in September of 2022 to fulfill that vacancy. Last year, one of the biggest highlights, the city approved one of its biggest subdivisions, which was the Chastain development off of Edgemont Road, which was over 500 homes. So just something I've been working on too is kind of initiating SOP documents, like standard operating procedure documents.
Yeah.
Just to kind of show the process of how we intake applications and how we process applications after that. Just in case if there's something were to happen and someone else new came in, there'd be some documents to reference. There's also some more stuff I'm working on right now is file and record processing. That's something I've been trying to update just so it's not on one computer or one server. There might be a cloud or something where people could reference that in InterGov. InterGov is a program that we use for building safety that could be integrated with planning as well. So I was able to attend some training last year. The Tennessee Vested Property Rights Symposium. That was out in Spring Hill, and that had some pretty good information. We also want to try working on some drone footage and videos and stuff for social media. So I did take some training to try to get my commercial license for drone operations, just in case, because it is better to have a commercial license if you're doing work outside of the city, or inside the city, sorry. So a couple of big things that we're going to try for this year. So we're going to initiate a rewrite of the current zoning ordinance. So the rewrite's going to go out for bid in March, end of March or early April. That should entail about $150,000 to $180,000, which should take about a year to complete. So the reason for this is some of the zoning is outdated. For example, our commercial zoning, that's more going towards what you see on gun barrel malls, stuff like that, and shops, which the market doesn't really show for right now. Now you have Amazon. After COVID, it kind of made everyone start buying stuff online and go into a smaller footprint for commercial. So something that you kind of more see in Cambridge Square would be more of a mixed use, taller buildings, closer sidewalks to those buildings for pedestrian access. And we really want to focus on sustainable growth as a city to kind of show where we're going. and see what we could sustain. We also want to reinitiate our citywide specific plan. This is could also be looked at as a master plan. It's not really a specific plan as you would look at like zoning, like almost like a PUD. This is more of how can we grow as a city in the next 10 or 15 years, doing that sustainably, and doing that responsibly. So it kind of shows which way we're going to go within the next 10 years. And that's going to be a citywide type of deal with all the departments. Another thing we want to do is reinstate social media. Kirsten, before, when she was here, she did a really good job with social media and kind of showed other cities like Chattanooga and stuff. They were asking questions like how we were doing stuff on social media. So that's something that we also want to touch on and start bringing back up on. And then, of course, we're continuing to review new developments and subdivisions. And this is kind of a breakdown and a grid to initiate our zoning ordinance rewrite this year, complete and update the strategic plan. So the master plan, strategic plan, that should be good for draft comments probably by next year, early 2024, end of 23 this year. And then increase social media presence, the drafting of the SOP documents, and initiate and update record keeping processes. And that's it for planning if you have any questions.
Can we ask questions about subdivisions? Is this an appropriate time to do that, or should we hold questions?
Let's see what the question is and figure out.
I'm just curious, the development off of Macaulay Drive, Orchard Valley, out Appson County was doing the roadway, and it runs parallel with Appson Pike.
Chestnut Creek subdivision.
Yeah, is that on the hold at the moment? Somebody asked me about that the other day, and I wasn't sure.
They've not submitted construction plans.
Okay, so it's still in their hands. Okay,
It's still in their hands.
thank you.
Is there any thoughts on replacing the second person with the planning?
Not
Since we
currently.
lost both of them at one time almost?
Not currently. Jason and I are Jason's going to spearhead and run with it and grow into the position in the department to get it a little more agile and a better fit for the future of the city, and then evaluate what skills are needed or not needed. Our concern is we don't want to duplicate skills. And as we're in this inflection between strictly planning and the city getting closer and closer to build out and then future direction and that sort of thing, exactly what skills are needed, such as some of Jason's soft skills are going to go really well with the social media platform and the photography, the drone usage, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
And so at this time, in this next budget cycle, we're expecting to stay with one person.
Thanks.
Good afternoon. So just quick, for the 2022-23 budget, we're running at 155. That does include a contribution to the CRA softball for youth. We have 2 full-time staff currently. It is just myself as we are going through applications and hopefully start interviews in the coming week. Just some staff highlights from this past year of between myself and Emma attending different conferences and trainings. You're fine. We went to some volunteer expos. That was really nice to connect with some of our community members and get more information out. Going to the chamber meetings and making more connections in the school district with UC Wolf-Teaver Creek up there, as well as doing some volunteer work with them to help them out, because just like us, they hurt for volunteers as well. So when we're able to go and help and talk to their parents and tell them, hey, we have these things, was really nice to make that connection in the community. So just like our schools, we are, and our local homing places, local homeowners associations, stuff like that. We're trying to get involved with those, as well as the businesses that are around town. You see that we're trying to connect more and more, get them involved with some of our programming, get their name out there and support our Collegedale folks. Some of our highlights, these are literally names of events or programs that we have done in the past year. This is just kind of the big ones. So from as simple as a chicken dance-a-thon, where making the kids dance crazy, and Chick-fil-A actually being a part of that. Doing bicycle classes, using our connection with UT Ag Extension to get a culinary classroom, making use of our Greenway with the walking group, having weekly programs for our seniors, which is a huge, huge thing. And then some of our bigger things with our dance classes, Nerf War, Fairy Tale Fall Ball, Tunes on the Track, all of those big events that we've been able to, again, partner with our community businesses. And then these are just some of our action goals. First on our list is to hire a new program specialist. Of course, that should be happening soon. I've got some information going out to update our signage at the pickleball courts. We're going to update our website. We've been using, I believe, Red Branch, and they basically designed and left us. So we don't have any more help on the IT side of that. So after talking to many Parks and Rec agencies, we've decided to look at Wix as being an easier way for us to take care of our webpage. We'll be working with Jason, of course, with increasing social media reach. Got some upgrades for the sandbox. We got some bike ramps that will go up at Thatcher Switch here once the railroad and construction is all done over there, and it's safe for people to drive over there and park to use that recreation area. Working on a grant right now, thanks to Katie, that AARP grant, trying to get that approved to do the community mural. So we're working on that. And you see the basketball gym usage. I'm trying to find somewhere where we can do basketball. I've been trying to get in with the Elks to do like the hoop shoot, and just be able to do different sports indoors. And we don't have a facility for that. So I'm trying to get an agreement with some of the local schools during their non-school hours. And then the last one on there is probably one of our biggest ones, is still trying to get that accessible merry-go-round that we were trying to get. Unfortunately, prices kept going up and going up, and the grant money that we needed, the time limit ran out for that to come from that group, and we just couldn't make it happen, unfortunately, with the funds that we had. So I believe that is all. Any questions?
All right. So with building and codes, as you can see, our current budget is $909,421. Currently, we have 5 full-time staff because on, I believe it was a week and a half ago, we hired a replacement for John Gamble. His last day will be April 27th, so y'all can mark your calendars. We'll have his retirement party that day. I hate to see him leave. At the same time, I'm excited because he's going to have time with his wife and enjoy the retirement he so well deserves and has earned. And so we're looking forward to celebrating his tremendous service to the city of Collegedale. His replacement, by the way, his name is Sam Jenkins. So I'm sure you'll be seeing him around here. We're blessed in that he's got at least several weeks to be able to train with John. So it's an enormous amount of duties and responsibilities he needs to learn. So having that period of time will be very helpful rather than just a typical 2-week transition period. So I think that'll be good. As you can see with the staff highlights, Brittany was able to attend a MTAS Administrative Professionals Boot Camp, which was helpful for her. John was able to go to a Appalachian Codes Conference in Pigeon Forge. I was able to do my annual electrical inspector conference and American Association of Code Enforcement Annual Conference. Brittany's also currently signed up for a Permit Tech online study course, which hopefully will help her to prepare to take a certification exam for Permit Tech. It's not a requirement, but it's something that Wayne and I have spoken, agreed it would be good to help her be more effective in her duties and responsibilities. And as indicated there, February 21st is when we officially hired Sam Jenkins, John Gamble's replacement. As you can see, copy room project we completed in September of 22. Unfortunately, in October, Christy Blackwell, one of our custodians, she had been at her house, broke her collarbone. And so she's been, had to go through surgery, and it's been a slow recovery process. But I just wanted to give a kudos to Stephen Ledbetter and Dana. They've kind of tag teamed between the two of them to fill in the gaps where Christy's duties are concerned. So they've been just doing an outstanding job. I've ordered the Ford F-150 that has been placed for building and code, still waiting on it to come in. Hopefully that will be arriving soon. We, in December, had implemented Brazos electronic citation device, and we're in the process of utilizing that for code enforcement for writing tickets electronically like the police have in their department. We completed in December the exterior painting work at City Hall. January, we got the interior work done. Next week, Monday, is when we'll have our bid opening for the Medic 5 former building. So we'll know more as to where that project comes in, whether it's within budget, hopefully, but time will tell. It's February 23. We worked with Amazon Prime to set up invoice billing. I talked to Michelle and Wayne and our other department heads and staff, and we all agreed that rather than making charges with credit cards, we're going to be able to just have Amazon bill us monthly. And they've set it up where each department head or other staff member will just enter the general ledger and accounting code for cost coding. And so it'll just simplify things tremendously, and I think help streamline it for our finance department where bill paying is concerned. And then Jeremy had put together a code enforcement handbook for our code enforcement. Action goals, training a replacement for John Gamble. That's kind of in process right now. Brittany's working towards her Permit Tech certification. We're hoping to complete installing on the Economic Development Center. On the exterior, there's some areas that are currently not covered with vinyl. And so to match those and help protect the wood components from the elements, we're working on trying to get estimates for that right now, hoping to get that complete by the end of May. Right now, we're looking at trying to transition. Obviously, we have to wait for the budget to get approved, but our current code enforcement, inspection, and permit software has been okay, but the customer service has been very substandard. We've had nothing but problems and difficulties. First couple of years I started in 09 and it was phenomenal, but ever since Tyler had bought them out, it's really gone downhill. So we're hoping to transition to iWork that Signal Mountain, Saudi Daisy, and I think it's Red Bank utilized currently. And we're hoping to have a component that Public Works can utilize, but then also planning. So planning, building, and Public Works. So it's kind of a holistic type software that would be mutually beneficial for multiple departments. We're hoping to incorporate library and city hall, LED lighting retrofit, and also painting the light poles and the flag poles at city hall and library. We're looking at hopefully changing out the fluorescent lights at Public Works admin building and changing those to the lay-in LED lights as you see in the courtroom currently. We're looking at still trying to eliminate some hard copy files and transition to electronic files. And we're hoping to do it in phases where replacing countertops are concerned, starting with public areas and then transitioning to eventually the courtroom and the kitchen. We're changing out and upgrading the countertops, something that's going to be more durable where that's concerned. And that'll be it. Any questions for anybody?
I have one.
Yes.
This may not be the time to ask, but one thing that I've noticed and I've been concerned about is the heating, air, or thermostat, whoever we have with doing that,
Mhm.
it's not functioning right because it either gets really too hot or it gets too low. Depending on, I've been in the courtroom several times. I've been in events that I've hosted, and I've called you before.
Mhm.
And then in here during court, you can't regulate it.
Yeah.
It's like if you have it set on 70, it might be 66 or something. So you're either freezing or you're excessively hot.
Yeah.
And I know crowds have a lot to do with that, but what is the differentiation there? That's a point.
Typically with the thermostats, there's like a 4-degree variation of temperature that you can increase or decrease it. The challenge that we've had is we have such a diversity where employees and other people are concerned. Some people like it hotter, other people are burning up and like it colder. So it's the proverbial just trying to find that middle ground, and it definitely is very challenging.
Can we
putting it
set it,
mildly.
can we not set it something like at 68 to 70, cap a thing on it and let people adjust? Either they bring a sweater or they take a jacket off.
Well,
Because it's
no,
got to fluctuate the cost of electricity.
I
You're
understand.
going up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah, I understand.
But now-
I'm open. Wayne and I have talked about this before, but it seems to be an ongoing challenge to kind of help find that middle ground. We've had certain employees that we've got some pedestal heaters. So that way those are very cold can kind of, because especially with the police
Mhm.
and having all their gear, body armor and stuff, obviously we don't want them getting overheated because then we have no one to protect our city. So we've been
Right.
trying to be kind of in tune with what their needs are and kind of make adjustments as they need it, if you will.
Well, I know you can always open a door if you're using the rooms onto the side,
Mhm.
but I know in here, of course,
Sure.
it gets crowded.
Mhm.
And I know the judge gets hot in his robe and he keeps it down at a certain thing, but it gets freezing in here at times.
Yeah.
You know, I don't get cold easily,
So
but.
court is
but there has
probably
to-
being turned down intentionally
Mhm.
to prepare for the number of people.
The mass, yeah.
The mass of people and the officers and the judge being so heavily clothed. I would expect that it's being turned down about 1 o'clock to that 66 so that it is comfortable.
Have you thought about summer uniforms? Yeah, lighter gear, lighter weight. I'm trying
I
to.
think
help
it's
out
the
here.
vests that are the problem.
Have a fluctuation of style. Okay, I'll shut up.
That was a hard no for me, and they've asked more than once. So good afternoon. Our current fiscal year budget is $1,192,712. We're currently budgeted for 26 full-time officers. We're currently sitting at 24. We did make a conditional offer today to a gentleman coming to us from Benton Police Department, which will put us at 25, and we're getting ready to do another round of interviews and testing, starting hopefully in the next week or so. Our reserve division is budgeted for 15 officers. We're sitting at about 7 or 8 right now. We did hire 2 officers out of that pool. We've lost a couple due to medical reasons, et cetera. And we're looking at having a reserve academy here in the spring or early summer. Some of the highlights currently for this year, as I said, we've been able to successfully hire some very good officers as we've had positions come up due to turnover. We made a couple of new reserve officers hire. We actually had more than those 2 that you're seeing up there, but again, we hired 2 from the reserve staff to move to full-time, and we lost a couple due to medical reasons. We've had 3 promotions this year with the promotions of Sergeant Ben Parker, Corporal Michael Hicks, and Andrew Carter, who you recently saw promoted at the awards banquet the other night. Just some highlights for notable training and certifications. We sent 3 or 4 officers to First Line Leadership School as they progress through the ranks or prepared to. We increased our traffic investigations by sending an officer to that. We sent an officer to instructor development training to assist with our training and training of our personnel. We replaced some Glock armors and added some Glock armors and public information hour to continue to work with our community outreach and social media and conducting, being more successful with news media and building those relationships. We were able to send 2 officers to Hostage Negotiation Crisis School. Myself and the assistant chief are both crisis negotiators, but with our administrative responsibilities, we had 2 officers that stepped up and wanted to go take care of that. Sergeant Parker completed drug recognition expert training, so that's always great. We've got 2 others already. So we now have 3, which is where we were about a year or so ago. Our detectives, Detective O'Daniel, went through some advanced training, some investigative analysis. Corporal Hicks and some other officers went through field training officer for our field training program. Officer Shell, one of our new canine officers, attended several advanced traffic stops, advanced criminal investigation, and advanced training on search and seizure. We also had Officer Maurer, who completed advanced roadside impairment driving enforcement and he was our DUI Officer Enforcement of the Year. And he was also recognized for that through the state. And then we do have a drone that hasn't been able to be utilized because we didn't have certified pilots. So just recently we sent Sergeant Booth and Officer Jones to complete some training to prepare to take for their certifications to be able to fly our drone. Additionally, it's not necessarily noted, but I'm an assistant chief and myself, assistant chief myself, began attending regular TACP, Tennessee Association Chiefs of Police meetings for their quarterly meetings, and I attended their yearly conference in an effort to continue to network, bridge, and learn what we can through other department leaders and administrators throughout the state. Sergeant Herco and Detective O'Daniel have started regularly attending local task force intel meetings, as well as meeting with Crime Stopper groups, and again, in a continued effort to network and build bridges that we need for our investigative purposes. So just some other highlights, we've, again, working towards the accreditation process since it began. We've either reviewed, revised, or created about 110 new policies or general orders in preparation to get to that point to where we can submit all this off to the TLEA program and begin our vetting and certification process, which will take about 3 years. We're right there at the end of the road. I think we've got maybe 10 more policies to get done. And once we get that, we'll update everything and upload it to the Power DMS system, which will streamline how it's looked at through the people that need to, our officers, and make sure there's only one current policy and everybody's looking at the same policies. Again, we participated in our National Faith in Blue weekend, which was very successful. We again conducted our National Night Out event, which we intend to do every year. We hope to tweak that out and grow and improve. We also began some community outreach and public service events through Southern, which was great. And that was something that stemmed off relationships from the roundtable. So it was good to see that. And it's something we'll continually work to improve and add on each year. We were able to restart our canine program with not only 1, but 2 canine teams. And both of those canine teams have received their certification from the United States Police Canine Association. Extremely successful thanks to the support of the commission and City Manager Hines on getting some much needed equipment updates, which included our new body worn cameras. Our new in-car cameras were ordered and hopefully should be here in the next month or so. We got new portable radios, new in-car laptop computers, new tasers, mobile CAD, handguns have been ordered, and of course the addition of our patrol vehicles. So that's been great, very successful getting that implemented. One of the decisions that was also made is we pulled our patrol vehicle upfitting from outside vendors and assigned it to our city mechanics, and they've been doing a great job with that. And that was just to kind of better ensure our quality control and our control over how our equipment was being installed properly and effectively. It also reduces the time needed for installation and repairs because they're the ones putting in the equipment. They know how it's wired. They wire it to their standard. And it makes their jobs much easier when something needs to be looked at or repaired or replaced. Sergeant Parker, who was sent to their instructor last year, certification, he has been back in our schools and has really done a great job in revitalizing that. He and I have already talking about expanding into additional schools, maybe this year or next year, maybe adding another DARE officer to help him with that program. The Quartermaster software that was purchased has been implemented and continues to be. And again, that's just for us to much better effectively track and manage our department's assets, what equipment is where, and making sure that everything comes back in good order and standing as we see people come and go or as we purchase or surplus equipment. So our main goals, our action items for this year will be again to just complete and finalize that department accreditation enrollment process and get everything sent to them. We'll continually update our training programs to ensure that our staff is getting the best training they can, and that we're creating instructors and advanced instructors. We've already had some instructors that are co-teaching and teaching at the police academy as well as at other agencies. We've been great working with UTC, helping them train and teach as necessary with the addition of some of our instructors. Our community outreach will continue to grow and hopefully get better each year, so that'll be an ongoing thing. Our officer wellness program, we've done a great job this year by adding some additional chaplains. Chaplain Mary has done a fantastic job on sitting down and us working on our vision to not only provide chaplains, but in emotional and spiritual, but we're also looking at hopefully finding professionals to help with financial planning and fitness training and nutritious planning and mental health programs as well. So that'll be going on throughout the year. And then kind of lastly, a piece of technology that's kind of overdue to be looked at is our interview room technology for our detectives. It's got some old, outdated equipment, and we've had some challenges with interview recording. So we'll be working at looking at some solutions, some reasonable solutions to get that technology replaced to better provide them their needs for evidentiary stuff for their interviews. Be happy to answer any questions.
This is actually a question probably for Chief and Eric. How long on average is it taking one of our auto techs to do an uplifting for one car?
It's been dependent on what they have in front of them. Like today, they did the first car. It took a little time because it's the first time they did it. They needed to plan it out. They got the second car and the third car done very efficiently. But like today, we've got 8 patrol vehicles that are needing various service and repairs to get them back on the road. So that kind of sidetracks them for a little while. But a lot of it just depends on what they have on their plate day to day between public works repair needs and our repair needs.
And also they had updating the K-9 cars. It's done a little bit different than the non-K-9 cars, so that takes a little bit of time getting used to as well.
What
Would you
about
ballpark like a
supplies?
day of car or
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
a lot longer than
So I was
that?
actually talking today about that earlier, and with the wiring and everything, they've probably got about 100 hours in each car. Wiring.
It also has to do with accessibility of being able to get the parts that you need to replace things too. Am I correct?
Not so much replacing, but I know originally when ordering everything, getting everything in
Yeah.
was an issue initially.
Initially it was, but we've gotten stuff ordered that we need. So now we're storing it there. So as they need it, they're
They-
grabbing
okay.
it and going. And they've got a pretty good system out where one kind of runs wiring and runs lights and does that while the other one is focusing. So they've gotten much more efficient out, obviously, as they go through each one. But again, a lot of it depends on what's on their plate on the day-to-day, week-to-week average on what's breaking down or what's needing repaired in both departments.
Hey, before I forget, Andrew, you may want to look at that door. It's leaking pretty good. It's been running in. I don't know if it's dripping, but, and I can tell you, firsthand, I know Mountain View used to do cars and there's other people who have done it, but it's hit or miss if they have staff or they get new staff. You get for what you pay for. And I'm glad we brought that in-house because at least you have a consistent way of running that stuff. And, kudos to Eric's team for doing that. But sometimes it's trying to find a needle in a haystack somewhere where the connections are not made correctly. So
100%, and that's what we were seeing when they would go into repair. It'd be a rat's nest of wire, and there was no rhyme or reason to how it was run. And to see the work that our guys do compared to what we were used to seeing, and a couple of years ago, we sent it out to an outside vendor, and I think pretty much every car they did over the next couple of years had to be completely rewired because, and plus we were having problems where we were sending them and they'd sit for months. Just sit there for months and months till finally we just had to go get them and bring them back. And that's really was the catalyst of this conversation is these things have been sitting here for months and they haven't touched them.
and you're at the mercy of their,
And we're not the only agency dealing with that. I've
Yeah.
talked to other agencies plus EMS and some fire department folks. They deal with the frustration. So I'm very thankful that we were able to get that worked out and the work that's being done.
All right. That's,
May I ask one more thing too? Is it possible when you get through with, I know you're doing the drone training and everything like that, maybe having it kind of an open so that showing the commission how it's working and we could see it, maybe a
drone
demonstration, yeah.
Sure.
You know, I'm familiar with drones, but not to the extent they are. It's just, I just know my son flew in the military and still does, but I think they're fascinating. I'm glad we have them.
All right. So this is my presentation for the 22-23. Current budget is 8 million and change. We've got 21 full-time staff, 0 part-time staff. That's over sanitation, streets, sewer, and waste collection. So for our staff highlights, we hired 3 new employees this year for labor positions. One was a sanitation driver, and they've all been working out great. They've taken on their roles, they fit in with the other employees, and we really haven't had any issues whatsoever. In fact, one of our new hires went through the Chattanooga State CDL program and received their Class A CDL, which we're very proud of. This other person had to go through that program. A lot of people don't know this, but last year, the state actually decided to follow through with the federal guideline to require anyone to get their CDL to have to go through a 7-week training class. No longer can you take the book home, read it, study it, train, and pass the test yourself. You have to go through an approved course. So this is the first individual we've done that with. We received training from UT Knoxville for work zone safety. Our whole entire crews received Title VI training. We work closely with Chris McAloon, and he's been doing a great job helping us with design projects for greenway extensions and inspections on right-of-way, permitting, all kinds of different things. Jackie Jones retired this year after 44 years of service. We do miss him greatly. We were able to hire someone and train him in with him for quite a while. It was beneficial. And we do see him from time to time. He comes by and says hi. But we do appreciate all his long service to the city. And then Scotty and myself, we've attended a TDEC disaster workshop recently. Pretty usual stuff. We did confirm that we do have an approved site over at our pistol range. So if we were to have another tornado and there was to be a lot of building debris damage, we do have a certified location to take that debris damage to be handled and then sorted to haul out at a later date. For our department, this year, sewer department, we've been focusing on completing mainline sewer cleaning and TV work. We basically work mostly in Basin 1, cleaning just under 8,000 feet of main line. And in that TV work, we actually were pretty lucky to not find any major issues. We hadn't had any major overflows or anything in that system, but when you run a TV camera down the line, you never know what you're gonna find. And luckily we didn't find any issues, so that's good. We lined 117 manholes, which is about 15% of our system, and that's going with our plan moving forward to camera and line the entirety of our system within 5 years or so, and that's getting close to where our IJ with Chattanooga is going to be expiring, and the new IJs that they're presenting have all that stuff included in it. So we're trying to basically be where we need to be ahead of schedule, and that's going to help us negotiate with our IJ in the future. This year, our sewer system did not experience any overflows. Our fleet maintenance department has been upfitting the police cars with aftermarket equipment and keeping police and public works maintained. However, we do see the need for an additional automotive technician based on the amount of vehicles that we have, age of the vehicles. The upfitting is just, it's too much for 2 mechanics to be able to keep up with. And so we're looking to be adding a position this year. We purchased a commercial paint sprayer. We've been doing multiple exterior painting projects around the city and pressure washing city buildings and city infrastructure. We've responded to the train derailment and provided traffic control and logistic assistance to the fire department, police department, and other emergency spill response teams. Public Works, we completed the largest striping project to date this year, about 10 street miles, and high visibility thermoplastic, and we've gotten a lot of good feedback and comments from that. We also completed a long greenway extension from the parking lot there by Scooters to the greenway that goes into Veterans Memorial Park, as well as a sidewalk extension along Appleton Pike up to Little Debbie Parkway to connect in the two apartment complexes. Some of our action items is to hire a new automotive technician, work on the sidewalk extension along Edgemond Road, the Edgemond Road shoulder stabilization repair. So just down from our pump station, we've got an area that we've been keeping an eye on. It's starting to deteriorate more. And so when I talked about it, and based on the location, what it's looking like, it's going to be a pretty large project. I've had a couple contractors come out and give us their opinions on it. So it's going to be a big deal. We're going to have to shut the road down for several days to complete the repair. The full depth reclamation of Swinier Drive. So I'm sure all of you've noticed there's several areas that have failed in the past. We've done repair work and our repairs have held, but there's other areas where we're starting to have base failures. So we're looking at using full depth reclamation, which is not a new technology. It's just being more widely used now, where basically they come in with a specialized machine and they churn up the existing asphalt and base stone and then the sub base underneath it anywhere from 6 inches to 1.5 feet deep, and incorporate cement powder and add water and then compact it back and basically turn your existing road into concrete and then pave over top of it. Scotty and I attended a class on it earlier in the year, and it's really the best way to go in this type of a situation where you have multiple base failures. So we're planning on, we've got an engineering group doing some core sampling right now. Hopefully they'll get us a design for the type of cement and quantities to use to where we can include that with the paving bid here in the next month or two and complete it this summer. And then I've got our paving list on there for this year of Talent, Sherry Lane, Swinier, and the drive to the pump station. And then also Chris and I are working on designing some additional parking for the dog park greenway over by the EDC building. That's it. Any questions?
Okay. So municipal airport current budget that we're dealing with is $753,873. We do have full staffing currently. That includes 2 full-time employees as well as 4 part-time staff. Some first staff highlights, the most notable being myself succeeding Mr. Swain as Director of Airport Operations. Following that, we did fill a part-time desk clerk position with Yvette Wolf. She's a wonderful employee, very, very good at what she does. She's a go-getter, and we're very glad to have her. A couple of the departmental highlights is just a quick update on the obstruction clearing project that we've been going on for almost 3 years now. The negotiations are underway, and the latest update that I've heard is that we are still on schedule to start the tree trimming by summertime. So it seems a little optimistic to me, but that is what they are telling me. We also did complete a TDOT pavement resurfacing project in September. That's crack seal, seal coat, and restriping. So everything looks very sharp right now. Following the start of this job as well, I did start some airport cleanup initiatives that include some of the derelict aircraft that were sitting on the ramp, unairworthy aircraft that were found in hangars. So trying to clean that up and utilize the hangar space for what they're intended for, which I'm glad to see that as well. It's certainly helped promote activity and all of that. We did launch the Airport Advisory Board. Prior to that, we were the only airport, to my knowledge, in the area that did not have any kind of airport board. So that did bring us up to speed to some regard with that. They've been very helpful, very glad to have that. We also started the Collegedale Aviators Club last month. We had very good participation out of that. That'll be an ongoing thing. that we're going to be starting up as well. So we are certainly trying to start the community engagement a lot more heavily than we were in the past. And I feel very good about the direction we're going with that as well. The repair and upgrade of the automated weather observation station is just near completion. He's coming out tomorrow to install the antenna. And then we have the FAA coming the next day to do their inspection and get it certified. So we're almost done with that. That's been over 6 months in the works trying to get our frequency approval, which we finally did. And so we're definitely making headway with that. The completion of this will just allow pilots to have current weather information on a discrete frequency. We have never had this in the history of the airport, to my knowledge, so this is going to be a big leap forward from what we have had in the past. The underground storage tank removal is in the early stages. As you all are aware, we did, thankfully, that you guys did pass the design phase of that, so they are going to be starting on that. So lots of good progress made in the last 6 months. I feel very, very proud with how far we have come. So some of the goals on my list for this current fiscal year remaining, as well as next year, we've got the obstruction clearing, as I've talked about. When I started the position in August, I would have presumed that we would be further along in it than we are, but unfortunately, it is going to follow into the next fiscal year, so I'm leaving that as a top priority on the list there. Hopefully after the fiscal year begins, we'll have that wrapped up in 6 months. Again, it could be optimistic, but if we can still stay on that schedule of cutting the trees in the summer, maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to get that wrapped up. The Beacon Tower upgrade is a new item that I've added. I feel that it is very prudent of us to upgrade that. Based on some research, that the current existing Beacon Tower was installed in the summer of '86, so it is well beyond its useful life. The guide wires that are holding it up are getting too loose for comfort. So every time we have to change a light or something goes wrong with the fixture on top of the 95-foot tower, we have to climb it. And I believe that it is a big safety issue that we need to get rectified. So that is something I put on my list for this coming fiscal year to get that replaced. The North Taxiway, the McDonald Terrace Taxiway, that's existing. I did get a bid spec prepared for that. I'm just, right now I'm just waiting on the ground to harden up a little bit before we try to stage equipment, because went down there about a month ago and it is exceptionally soft. And I'd like to minimize airport downtime as much as possible. So I think it would benefit us to kind of push that, closer towards summertime to start doing that. Hangar roof repairs, been an ongoing problem. We have leaks. We have several issues with hangar roofs that we need to take care of. That's one of the items I'd like to use some of our capital outlay for, is to fix some of that. As well as the solar runway lights, it's been an existing item on our list. They're about $850 a piece, so just kind of chipping away at that as we can. Certainly it is a big improvement over what we have right now. We did install a security system, which was much needed. I've got 3 cameras around the airport right now. I'd like to install 1 more. That would cover our southernmost end of the airport, kind of capture activity that is down there. So I put that on the list. That's an external involvement through EPB. And would also like to work on getting some pressure washing done on our commercial hangars. They've got a lot of mildew, a lot of things that would be greatly appreciated to get that taken care of. And a couple other items, painting various things around the airport, such as the fuel tanks and the windsock pole, just kind of starting to show its age from the sun over so many years it's been out there. Just need to get that freshened up a little bit. And then again, we are trying to really coordinate with the community, providing more community engagement. I'd like to do 2 activities this year. One towards the end of April when we can start getting a little bit more predictable weather, as well as into the summer. Would really like to either do some static displays of aircraft, maybe offer some airplane rides, stuff like that. The demand for aviation right now is through the roof. The flight schools are booked solid. I think it's a great time to really capture that community attention. I think it would be greatly appreciated. Any questions?
I'm really happy to see the airport trying to improve, and I know it's limited budget, but definitely glad that Chuck was here, Congressman
Mhm.
Fleshman.
Mhm.
It sounds like we've got some opportunities, so
Ryan's doing a good job out there. I've learned so much sitting on the airport advisory group. And he has a lot of respect from the gentlemen that are on there with us.
They stopped me to tell me.
Hmm?
They stopped me to tell me.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Luckily, they're outspoken when it's good news instead of just negative.
But they do come up with some good ideas
They do.
from many different angles.
Mhm.
Yes. So I'll run through admin. The current budget just for admin is $790,158. The other general government budget is 3.4-ish. This includes some of the other departments that answers to admin, IT, things of that general nature. We have a total staff of 12, which is kind of a misnomer because I had to kind of pick and, like, I didn't include all the departments that answer to admin because they're under other departments, et cetera. So don't get hung up on the 12 number. All right. Staff and department highlights. We have 2 CMFOs, Michelle and Ashland, which is essentially unheard of for a city our size to have that level of professionalism, which leans to our second item, which is no audit findings for 3 years in a row, which is also pretty shocking. Kristen Boyd, our Director of Human Resources and Risk Management, completed her MBA here recently. We hired Jason in. Chris Micklin, who is shared with the Sewer Department and Public Works, is doing an awesome job. Parks and Rec added their annual Christmas event, and you saw the 2 columns of everything else that they're doing, which is frankly shocking for a city of our size as well. So we're really doing well. So action items this year, the big one is the IT upgrade. The bid opening is on Monday, which last week shows exactly why we need to make these changes. So far, we've only had one prospective bidder, which is a little surprising, but we'll open Monday and go forward. The park system parking lot that we continue to work on that's shared between myself, engineering, and Public Works. Looking to get that done towards the end of 23, 24. It'll depend on paving and that sort of thing. Continue to work on legislative initiatives, continue to work with the coalition. This year we have several bills that have to do with annexation, de-annexation, et cetera, which have been quite scary and quite dynamic. I'll give you an example. 75 was a great written bill. There was rumors that it was going to just be a caption bill. So far, that hasn't come to fruition. It's remained very well written, but we've had a lot of conversations with the congressman that's pushing it to hopefully keep it that way, but we have to monitor it constantly. We've had several meetings at the state and federal level on legislative appropriations, everything from the airport to paving and police dollars. And pretty much we've expressed any way that they want to give us money, we will spend it wisely. Just tell us where to put it. We are working on an employee manual revision. If you'll remember, we did one about 2 years ago. So we're trying to catch some state of practice and odds and ends that have come up, changes in state law, that sort of thing. We'll wrap that up here in a few months after budget. Continue to work with the College of Tomorrow Foundation on their continual list of upgrades and changes and that sort of thing. And then the Little Debbie Park, and as it was noted, the timbers have started arriving. That is under construction, and we're expecting about September to be able to have our ribbon cutting. So we see the light. From talking to the contractor, they are going to need to stage some materials in the expanded on-street parking area and fence it off until we get all of the structures built. So that's kind of what admin's focusing on. Do you have any questions? All righty. Michelle, do you have any? Jason? Christina?
No, just get ready because I'm going to be on the news again on Friday.
Yes.
So we're getting a lot of very positive feedback from our news stations and getting the word out to more of our folks that way. So
So this and that on Friday?
this and that on Friday. That's great.
Andrew?
Just one thing to note, that last week Thursday, Chris McAloon and myself had attended a flood risk meeting. So FEMA is in the process of working with Hamilton County on updating the flood maps. It's been 7 years. It's hard to believe it's been that long. So that's something that probably come summer, we'll have some official preliminary maps and we'll start having open house meetings with the public to inform them as to how or if their properties are affected by the updated proposed map. So just want to make you aware of that.
Chief Sapp?
Nothing to report, but I did want to thank all of you for coming to our awards banquet last week, and showing your support for the officers. It was good, seeing you all there, and I didn't get to specifically chance to talk to everybody, so I just want to make sure I thanked all of you tonight.
Eric?
Just a reminder that this weekend, TDOT's going to be paving Epsom Pike here. Blocking on that section from just over Public Works to the four-way stop. So prepare for extra traffic.
Ryan?
Nothing new to add.
Commissioner Sadler?
Can we get a good update on what's going on with the pickleball courts? Since we got several emails, just what's getting repaired and is it currently closed certain hours or is it closed period?
It's currently closed, and I did get the weekly wrap out, which went into a little bit more detail as well this afternoon. We finished the electrical work. We have a bulb still to replace, and we'll be pressure washing it as weather allows. We're expecting that to take a week or so. Our social media posts have said up to 2 weeks. We're really shooting for hopefully by the end of the week, but it'll be weather dependent and material dependent to get it back open and finished. We've gotten the fence fixed and all of the electrical work done. So we have a few more things to button up and then we'll open it back up.
Okay, so it was fence repairs and electrical stuff? Okay,
The fence repairs were due to someone kicking in the gate because they were upset they couldn't go play.
okay. That's all for me tonight.
Commissioner Lamb?
I don't have anything.
Commissioner Baker?
I kind of interrupted and asked my questions as we went.
Vice Mayor?
So we did put that out on social media. It was it the Facebook page or the website? Do you remember?
Facebook page.
Okay. I remember seeing it and I heard some comments about it after, I have not been out there because of,
We also put signage up on the courts, but it was pulled down every time we put it up.
I did respond to one person that,
I had it.
Flooded mine.
I responded to, and I know Christina spent the first half of the day returning phone calls trying to explain what was going on.
yeah, so. And Chief, are you still working on the speeders in Wellesley at this point, or are you developing a plan?
No, we've already had officers in place during peak times, several times. The day after we started doing enhanced traffic positions, and we put a speed trailer out there. It's been out there for a week. We'll probably leave it up for another week. And I did get in contact, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but they was here for the meeting.
Yeah.
For over their HOA, and had a good conversation with him. It'll be ongoing for the next couple of weeks to a month.
Now, can you get data from that, the speed?
Yes, I asked the officers to track the time they're spending in there and any violations that they're observing or stopping and dealing with, so.
And the manual that says you're going this speed?
Yeah, we can pull data.
Okay. It'd be interesting to see what's going on, so. Unfortunately, I agree, it's hard to catch them at certain times. You can't be everywhere you have, but I appreciate you taking the opportunity to do that.
I have one question, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
This is not pertaining to this. More to the planning, regarding the subdivisions and everything. Has there been anything brought before the planning commission regarding I think it was the townhouses that were going to be built off of Udawaringo Road, right in front of the train tracks before you get to the,
That plat comes next planning commission.
okay.
I saw that advertised in the
Okay. I
Yes,
didn't
yes,
make it.
public announcement.
We received everything. It's now advertised to the next planning commission. That plat will be there.
So I know we did the awards banquet. Thank you for inviting us all again. It was great. Good information, and I know you're proud of your guys, and I appreciate that. I'm just curious, because Public Works was out there for the train wreck. Do we have some type of
So Public Works has Public Works Week that departmentally, they do something every day. They don't typically do a banquet, but they do Public Works Week, lunches all week, and then the fifth Wednesday every quarter is the appreciation days for Public Works.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they, just like the police department, did a pretty good job out there, and I definitely appreciate Eric leading that group and stuff, but I don't know if we could step up the food a little bit, maybe give them something that really would be worth, kind of a banquet, because the food was great. So thank you there, but yeah.
We can look at it, and I'll get with Eric on our next fifth Wednesday and see if maybe we want to do a little bigger hurrah for them.
Okay.
May I ask concern, one time before, we did the police and the public works where, I don't know if this is feasible, how it worked, so I need some feedback. When they didn't actually, they just got an extra day. We didn't pay them extra, but they got to take a day off with
An
pay.
extra vacation day.
Yeah,
Since then, we've started our floating holiday program, which
Mhm.
kind of negates that need, I would think. I mean, obviously, it's the will of the commission, and if the commission would like to include that in the next employee manual revision, we can start doing it. But we do have that floating holiday that compensates for the 410s versus the 9s and 4 schedule,
Yeah.
et cetera. And Public Works, last year, I think, ended up with 2 extra days, right? Yeah, 2 extra days last year they could take to compensate.
okay. So just,
So with this new technology of IT, are the downtimes we had, because I noticed it was down Thursday, but I was kind of,
It was down Thursday and Friday. The expectation is that the way I put it to them is I want it to work 100% of the time, 100% of the time.
gotcha.
And so obviously that is the goal we're shooting for, but the expectation is to be very close to that. And that's why we're going to that hosted email server as an example, where Microsoft would be responsible for keeping our email up.
Yeah.
And so it should add a lot more of a robust nature to it.
Okay.
did they say why they were having such difficulty keeping it? Or we were having so much difficulty with it?
It's our server setup, the remote server backup being at the airport versus here in that link, which is part of the entire project, switching to a cloud-based server system rather than this 100 megabytes per second backups on 2 different locations.
Okay.
I think that's all I have.
All right, well, if there's nothing else, we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Um,
Yeah.